Welcome to How You Go There, a podcast that goes beyond traditional success stories to uncover the real strategies, skills, and turning points behind people who make things happen. Hosted by Scott Montgomery, author of How Did You Get Here? Lessons of Unconventional Success, business owner and ICF certified leadership coach, alongside Linda Misegadis, a seasoned expert in business strategy, leadership development, and career transformation. Together, they bring sharp insights, real-world experience, and powerful storytelling to every episode. Listeners hear authentic conversations with professionals, leaders, and changemakers who've navigated big pivots, career breakthroughs, setbacks, and new opportunities. Subscribe now and join the next evolution of the journey, because this is How You Go There. Hey, Linda. Good afternoon.
Hey, Scott, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the How You Go There podcast, episode 4. Is it already?
It is. I know it's crazy. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
It is so much fun. And I love what we're trying
Yeah,
to accomplish here and getting people into the next layer of how you go there from how did you get here, right? I'll
I
talk.
totally agree. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun. It's because like we've kind of talked about is that we validated the how do you get here
Mhm.
by, with all of our amazing guests and our conversations. And so,
Yeah.
I think now it's how do you go there? So you got there, but how
How
you
you,
got there isn't how you go there, right? So
right. That's right. And so kicking off how you
yeah.
go there, talking to the college kids the first few episodes around what to expect and maybe how to act and maybe what to focus their energy on. I thought today it would be really interesting if we started to unpack maybe the idea of how business leaders can make themselves available to the needs of these emerging leaders.
I love that. Yes, because it's
So,
so important, you know? Think about how many times, and you've probably done it yourself, even as a business owner, I know you experienced it as a person looking for a job back in the days.
100%.
Entry level position, 3 to 5 years of experience.
How does that work?
Yeah, how is that an entry level position exactly? And so,
Right?
so if you haven't had the opportunity to get some experience along the way, that you can use for that, then how do you move into an entry level position? So that puts the onus back on the business leaders, which is what
It
we're going to
does.
talk about, which I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it matters as a business leader myself, mentoring people and making myself available to that mentorship has made a difference in so many people. And I do tell those stories in the book of my experience. But
Yeah.
it was about relationships for me that I talk about this experience and coaching. So
Right.
finding a coach and working with someone who's going to help you navigate to the next level. I think why I brought up our podcast here today is because the first 3 episodes we do help that next generation of graduates potentially, or those
Yes.
emerging leaders and what they should be looking for and not how they should present themselves, but maybe how they present themselves to a relationship in business.
Right.
So now
Right.
let's talk to those business leaders that are interested in finding that new talent, that emerging leader, and those folks that maybe can help them retire or grow their business too,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Well,
Which
and
is
think
exactly
about
where
back
I
in the
sit.
day. Yeah, we right.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
I'm
where I
not. I'm
sit.
not quite where you are, but I'm working on it. So,
Fair enough, fair
um,
enough.
but
Retirement's gonna elude you longer.
it's probably gonna take a little bit longer for me, but that's okay. I'm on the path, so it's all good.
Yeah,
Well, and I think what's so important to your point there is that back in the day, is that business owners, when we put out things for internships or these types of opportunities, it really was looking for free labor. It wasn't
right.
really with the intention to provide the breeding ground for the next generation of workers. And many times those programs also, not only did they take advantage because they were unpaid internships, generally you were being brought on to do the shit work too, right? So
Right,
the
right.
filing, the
Mhm,
answering the phones, or
mhm.
not the work nobody else wanted to do, but it had to get done. And so, oh, well, we'll bring in an intern. Where what is so important, and I think we're seeing a shift in many businesses today, is that the intern programs are more in line with preparing for the future, right? And
Yes.
giving them the opportunity to come in and experience corporate life, corporate culture, and get a sense of what they need. And they're getting paid too, because
Mhm.
I mean, it's absurd that you would expect people to do free labor. So,
Exactly. And also as someone who's looking at internships, what would you think or what would you suggest? And I even think, what would you suggest are the key components to the interview an intern should look for when interviewing with that business leader to know
yeah,
that it's going to be an opportunity that allows them to expose them to relationships, to allow them to refine a skill. So there's two sides of this coin, right? So you're looking at, let's use internships as an example. If I'm
yeah,
looking for an intern, I'm looking for inexpensive labor still. I
yep,
personally, and I
yep,
personally would be looking to mentor that person because it's a short window.
right,
Typically, it's the summer internship kind of
yep,
thing.
yep,
And I would know how to interview their tenacity, right? So not their skill
right.
set. So,
Yes.
and I'll just sidebar that I was looking at a couple leadership folks that have been fairly successful in business that are sharing their tricks of the trade. And they say, in this example, we always look for someone who is willing to do anything and everything for their time with
Mhm.
us. And
Yes.
that really exposes an intention and an opportunity, not an entitlement because of a
Right.
degree you're pursuing. So
Yes.
so just briefly, an intern should be prepared to do
Yes.
everything and anything,
They
but
should.
a manager of an intern, what do you think that they should be looking for? Or did I say that right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
said that
did.
right.
No, well,
Yeah,
and I had the opportunity. I've got of having some interns over the last couple of years,
yeah.
working underneath my team, and I've got a gentleman on my team who really is the one who has done all the heavy lifting with them. But what I will say about it is, as we started to really look for that, and what we wanted is exactly what you said: somebody who is willing to do anything, but we really did put a focus in on, like, let's not just make it about giving them, because it'd be very easy to just give them all of the shit. I mean, I'm just, like,
Sure.
being honest. So it's like that's just sometimes easier to do because it's also less time consuming for you, right? Well, we just give them the easier stuff. But what we wanted to do was give them the experience that would provide them the opportunity to know, is this a field I even want to go into,
Right,
right? So
right.
if I can look at this and I can say, because some of these jobs, kind of what we've been talking about is, so you've got this fancy degree that you've gone to school and now you
Right,
think you know everything, right? But
right.
then you get into an internship where you have practical application of those skills, and you start to realize how much you don't know about how the work actually
Ding,
gets
ding,
done
ding. Ding,
and
ding,
where
ding.
you need to start from. So, like, a big
Mhm,
component of the work that we do is research. And if you
mhm.
want to know, you've got to be willing to go comb through, and that's a part of sales. So you've got to do your homework in sales. If you don't do your homework, you're not going to be good in sales. Like, there's this whole research component to
Uh-huh.
it. But most people don't ever think about that in sales, right? Because you only think about it. And we did. We had this great internship that or intern who had this amazing personality, right? He had all of the personal skills, so that it's like
Sure.
relationship networking, but you know
Mhm.
what he was missing? Is the actual skills you need to be successful at being a sales rep, is more than just having a dynamic personality and an ability to connect with people. You also have to understand how to do your homework, how to do all of these different pieces, and that's what he was missing. And so,
Mm.
it is really important to give some of that kind of that beginning layer, and then to find out, is this really what I want to do? Because maybe you find out, I hate every minute of this.
That's right. No, that's right. That's exactly that's a great analogy or scenario or story even to what we're trying to talk about. So when you started to talk about giving your interns opportunities that were not just the grunt work and not just the
Yeah,
easy tasks that didn't require a lot of training, but rather ones that had a little grit and
yeah,
hold on what you do. What were you looking for? Why were you looking to give that experience to your intern? Like, what was your intention in just the effort of helping other leaders listening to us today? How did you make
yeah.
yourself available? How did you,
That's a
with that
really good
intention?
question. Yes,
Yeah,
because, one of the things we wanted to make sure was one, that there was an availability as well. So we also introduced our interns that came to us hungry to develop those relationships, figured this out, right? So we made them the intro to them so that they met the VPs and the GVPs and the directors and the other, like that leadership component
sure.
of it, to give them access to have those questions. But they might have been too afraid to reach out to them directly, like, oh, we get caught up in titles sometimes and positioning. And so maybe they didn't want to. So we did that for them but we looked to them to come to us to say, hey, I would really love to
Ask
be
for
able
it.
to, yes, I want to
They
go
asked
meet
for it.
this person. Yes. So they asked for it for sure. And then the other piece of it was we could really tell the level of engagement that they had. So yeah, they're here. Yes, they're getting paid. Maybe they want to be involved, but were they just here for the fun part of the internship program? Because we have a very fun internship program as well. Like we get them very involved in all types
Hmm.
of other things. But were you here to do the work and learn? And so that was another key component that we saw. We saw the ones who were willing to put in the time and effort. And then we even had one of our interns who came up with a whole new process that we
Yeah. Oh,
applied.
wow.
So not only were they willing to, they asked, they were available, they were hungry, but they also brought fresh ideas to us and things that we were like, holy cow, we hadn't even thought about doing it that way. And what a great thing for them to do.
Hey everyone, Scott Montgomery here from the How You Go There podcast, and we've got something special for you. We're on a mission to hit 100 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and we want to celebrate by giving back to our amazing community of young leaders and future executives. So here's the deal. We're doing a giveaway. All you need to do to enter is 1. Like this video, 2. Subscribe to the channel, and 3. Drop a comment below telling us your favorite episode of How You Go There. Once we hit 100 subscribers, we'll randomly pick a winner, and that person will get a signed copy of How Did You Get Here? Lessons of Unconventional Success, and the How You Go There Companion Guide. These books are packed with real-world insight for anyone looking to grow in leadership, pursue executive coaching, or just take the next steps in your journey. So if you're serious about leadership growth and learning from people who have done it their own way, now's your chance. To learn more, head on over to howyougothere.com. Well, and I think you've answered a couple things here that are flip-flopping. So I just made a quick note so that I could tie that together for our viewers, our
Yeah.
listeners too. One, the intern is looking and asking of leadership.
Yes. So important.
So important that the intern is showing their hand or their cards first. The other thing you said that was very interesting to me that I might segue in is then you took that opportunity and gave them access to the leadership.
Yes.
Physically gave them access is a way that leadership can make
Yes.
themselves available. They can either make themselves available to a program like your
Absolutely.
internship program, or they can make themselves available to the individual because the individual might have the balls enough to call in to the
It
owner. That was
Yep.
me.
Yes.
Or they may need that sort of, maybe I need to be in sort of a program to validate why I'm asking to be included, right?
Right.
So that
Exactly.
so that that there's two ways of doing that, and those are
Yeah.
really important for the intern themselves, and then the leaders of those internships actually taking that opportunity to assess through those actions that it is worth their time. And
Absolutely.
once you've assessed that it's worth your time, what's the next step? So you've exposed them to leadership, you've given them the tools and the tricks of the trade. Now what? Now what is like
Yeah.
for the
Well,
business leader to continue to make themselves available? I have some
yeah.
things I did, but what do you do? I'll share mine in a minute.
Well, yeah, I think one of the things that's really important is identifying what their core competencies are and helping
Hmm.
them explore that. Because, you as a business leader who has years of experience, you've done this a long time,
Yep.
you've had a lot of employees who come through type of thing, you've got a different frame of reference. And so being able to look at their core competencies and say, and even coach and
Brilliant.
guide them a little bit to say, maybe, you know what, maybe this is not your path forward. Maybe, what do you think about trying this? Maybe they're really good at creativity. So you're like, hey, let's get you connected with our marketing folks over
Wonderful.
here. See what you think about that, or hey, you're really good at technical stuff, like I don't know, whatever it is that, but you're seeing something in them. So that way they don't go down a path where if you know in your heart that that person is probably never going to excel in
Right.
the
In
role
that
that they're
area.
trying in that
Sure.
area, then
Sure.
guide them in a direction that helps them, because otherwise, what a waste of an internship program and what of a waste of time for that intern.
I think what you're talking about is incredible. And I would say that our friendship is based on what you're saying, because I would summarize it by saying a business leader who wants to make themselves available with the purpose that you talked about needs to facilitate vulnerability
Yes.
in the
Yes.
and make it a safe place for the intern to help navigate their skill set and their capabilities and their
Yeah.
choice of career. And when you said move them to marketing, if that's a stronger place for them, that's the safe place. There's no wrong answer for an intern. And I think
Right.
facilitate, so making yourself available through a program as we build out this sort of market,
Yeah.
this strategy, and then being vulnerable in the conversation both ways.
Absolutely.
Honestly, you're an intern. I can't expect you to know the path of your life in what I'm asking you to do. And quite frankly, you're in a safe place that if this doesn't seem to be a fit, you need to be able to tell me so I can foster a direction or a reset for you in your internship.
Yeah.
The piece I was going to add to that, that I make darn sure I do, is I create a specific time for the conversations.
I like
So
that.
I put them right in a
Yes.
calendar, and I make myself available, and that is a one-on-one. There is no pretense to the expectation. It is a place to talk. It is a
You're
place to
present,
evaluate.
right? You are
Right.
there, you are present, you are in that moment, because how many times do you see, where a meeting gets scheduled? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Add some time on my calendar. They're on there, and the person that they're talking to is not present.
That's right.
They're not in the moment with them. They're maybe multitasking. What good are you to that young person who's hungry to learn, to experience, and wants to get this insight from you, and you can't even block that amount of time to be able to say, "Hey, I'm here, I'm present, and I'm ready to hear what you have to say." And then I'm curious too, like, do you do more listening or more talking in those situations?
With over a decade of experience, WorldGate LLC is your trusted partner in IT staffing, project management, and UKG solutions tailored for the public sector. We help government agencies and organizations navigate complex technology landscapes, implement effective workforce solutions, and build high-performing teams. From strategic staffing to seamless systems integrations, we bring the experience and reliability to execute, empower, and exceed for our customers. Staffing? Check. Project management? Check. Public sector and UKG solutions? Check. Experience you can trust. Visit www.worldgatellc.com today. I think you do. I think you do both. I think you're interactive and you're present, and that's a conversation. And I think there's a no agenda aspect to that check-in
I
that
like
will
that.
then drive some of the things that got you to that conversation. You put yourself available to the internship. You honored the fact that it is an internship and not a 90-day trial for a job, right?
Right.
And your interest is in supporting that person that may or may not be able to deliver you results on some of your daily tasks, right? So the
Yeah.
internship becomes the project, not the
Yeah.
necessary work of it, right? So I think that's an important piece. And you've walked me right through it, which is nice, right? Because I think that's the theme of today's conversation for our leaders is how do you make yourself available? Well,
Yeah.
intentionally is the first word,
Yes. Yes,
right?
yeah, which is such a
Novel
underused word.
idea,
Yeah, what a
right?
crazy idea to actually be intentional, yes.
Right. And then when you're there, there's no right or wrong answer. I'm going to tell a story real quick that I think will help solidify some of that. I was going to ask you or even offer that sometimes my mentoring or internship type work comes in places that is very unique. And so for me, places that I go where I think I can provide value present themselves at odd times. And I was at the gym, and I tell this story in my book where I met this guy, Ron, and Ron and I hit it off because he was trying to pitch me on personal training, and he was a personal trainer. And I said, I'm not interested in buying personal training. I know how to work out, and your personal training is not related to the industry of working out that I like to do, which is triathlons and those kind of more cardio-based exercises. Long and short of it is, after many coaching sessions and many interactions, I now have an annual update on the place that he works and is a director of in the sales department of the federal workspace that he never thought in a million years he would ever be of value to
That's
work in,
awesome.
and an
Yeah.
invitation to his wedding. You know,
Oh,
S
how cool is that? Yeah.
right. So you're getting this opportunity that didn't cost me a lot of time, but I made myself available, and I then shredded some of the other things I was doing to give it some focus because I was intentional on the end result being the best it could be for
Yeah.
Ron, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I
Yep.
think when hearing that story, and I synthesized a 5-year relationship into less than 3 sentences, but I
Right.
think that was the point of what we're doing in our podcast too, is let's get there quick and let's get there to a place where people can actually relate and
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
do those
No.
activities. Yeah, yeah.
I agree. Well, and then I'm curious. So, there are only so many internship programs out there, right? And they are very competitive these days. Like it's
Fair.
highly competitive.
Fair.
And so,
I have an
so
idea.
not everybody, yeah. So not everybody gets to be a part of the intern program. So
Nope.
let's talk a little bit about, how relationships and networking kind of fit into that whole competitive world of internship, and how can I maybe prepare myself either to go into it, and then I'd love to even talk about maybe the informal intern availability that's out there as well.
Well, I think it's important to talk formal internship, right? So there's a couple of things that I move around into that are a little less direct than your question right now for us as
Yeah.
a forum, but I think it's important that the word intentional comes up. So my company supports school districts. I'm
Okay.
vetted. I've got my background check. It's easy for me to get involved in the urban technology programs of inner city
Right.
schools. It's easy for me to find myself. I have 3 teenage kids that are in high school. Their programs I can get involved in. We feed hungry kids in these schools. We actually mentor leadership
Mhm.
programs in these schools. But what I was going to say is when you're not in the industry I'm in that makes that is accessible,
Yes, right. Mhm.
there are other places you can look directly online where these kids are starving for the attention that we're talking about. And in a leadership growth, do it themselves. Where can I take my life way, not in a
Yeah.
handout way? Boys and
Yeah.
Girls Club of America, young
Oh, I hadn't
entre-
thought about that. That's great. Yeah.
young entrepreneurs academies that are across the
Yeah.
country that are city sponsored, Chamber of Commerce, all these
Yeah.
places. If you're intentionally looking to try on mentoring and making yourself available, and you're not part of a company that has access to schools or offers internships, or
Right.
if you're a student who's not going to get an internship because it's so competitive, you can put yourself in there from either capacity at the places I'm just referring to
Like that.
intentionally. And
Yeah.
then you're
Yeah.
fostering a relationship, and I'll tell you right now, without any question, it's never what you know, it's who you know. And I will
Yeah.
own that
Yeah.
to my grave. I own that to
Yeah.
my grave. And it's so funny to your point, our generation and even the boomers are very much about like, well, you got to work hard and do
That's
do all the
right. Pull
deliverables.
yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right, right. And I didn't do that. I'm a
And
visionary. I
I
don't
didn't
actually
have
do work.
bootstraps either, so
Exactly. Exactly. But you make yourself available, right?
yes, yeah,
So I think it's important that relationships are fostered as a result of these internships, and then you're uncovering some of the tactical work you want to explore.
yeah, I
The
like
marketing
that.
side. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree. And if you like what we're talking about, then please like and subscribe to our podcast.
Yeah, a little love
We're on
can't
all
hurt.
the
We
little
little
love can't
encouragement.
hurt.
Yeah,
That's right.
right.
That's right. We need that as well. So
Yes.
so we appreciate it for sure. And you can
Oh,
find us on all the major streaming services. So
and also you can check out www.howyougothere.com for materials, PDFs,
yes.
books, and any kind of connection you want to make to Linda or I. You can
Absolutely.
find
Well,
us
and
there.
I would be remiss if I didn't hold up my
Wait,
copy
what? Wait,
of
wait,
how you
what?
go there. Yeah,
Little
I mean,
higher, little higher, little
yeah,
higher.
there it wouldn't be a good episode if I didn't have this. So so we got to definitely get that in there. Um,
It can't hurt to help people with it, right?
Can't hurt to help people with it. That's right, exactly.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Shameless as it may be.
Absolutely. Yeah, hey, you know what? We gotta have them, so it's too good. Well, always good to see you, my friend, and I
Good to
can't
see you
wait
too.
to be back for our next episode.
Thanks for listening to How You Go There podcast. If this sparked something for you, share it, review it, or connect with us at howyougothere.com. Keep leading, and we'll see you next time.